I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Monday, November the 15th, brought to you in part by Joplin Regional Stockyards. Big sale on this Monday here. Runs are really big, probably 8,000 head for the regular Monday feeder cattle auction, and a lot of yearlings. Be a lot of calves, of course, but also a lot of yearlings. And then don't forget, coming up on this Friday, they got the Show Me Select Replacement Heifer Sale. That's a certified sale sponsored by the University of Missouri. Got the Missouri Department of Agriculture involved there, screening those heifers and making sure everything's right. I did that for many years there in the state of Missouri, and that's a really good program, especially for small producers that don't want to get took on buying some heifers that are going to have trouble calving or don't have the right genetics. But if you guys are interested in some packages of those replacement heifers, get to Joplin on Friday, and it's an evening sale. Also at Joplin Regional Stockyards, they got a big yearling special next Monday on the 22nd. There'll be load after load after load of yearling cattle. You think they're all gone, but they've got some there. And don't forget the big yearling special next Monday, the 22nd, Joplin Regional Stockyards. 130 and beyond. I was telling you guys as we were clawing and scraping and trying to get to 130 here over the last few months and several weeks especially, and in the last couple of weeks we've been able to reach that 130, and now we're going beyond. We thought once we broke that door down that we could get well into the 130s, and it's already happening, guys. That was just an invisible barrier or glass ceiling there, and once we broke through it, you know, the sky's kind of the limit here for the short term, or at least through the rest of this calendar year. We should continue to gain ground here, with the only thing that I can see that would really stop it is if these vaccine mandates, cause these plants not to be able to keep workers on the line. There's a lot of people in there that have not been vaccinated, don't want to get vaccinated. Of course, it's a big corporation. They got well over 100 employees, but now they're saying that they've got to be vaccinated, but they've got a court injunction on that rule, nationwide rule for vaccine mandates, and we'll have to see how that plays out. Now, likely the administration is going to fight back against that, and likely they're going to win, but it's whether or not these big corporations decide to fight back and tell them they can't tell them exactly what they got to do when it comes to that kind of thing. But in the short term, and that could happen, towards the end of this month, around Thanksgiving time, right up there to the first part of December, if we can't keep workers in those plants, that could be a big problem, as big as the pandemic at its worst, if that doesn't work. But hopefully we can keep things rolling, because the slaughter's been running at a big pace here. Your packers have a lot of obligations to fill as far as product here the rest of the year. They're short of market-ready cattle. The market's prime. We're gaining ground. And, we're in a good situation right here if we don't have another black swan event come in here and kill it. A lot of things going on. You've heard about the big strike that they're bound to happen up in Canada at the Cargill beef plant up there. They're looking at a big percentage of the workers, enough where they could not operate, are bound to strike, or saying that they're going to strike. It's a union deal, and they're saying that could happen December the 6th. Those workers, or the unions, are wanting more money. They're seeing record prices for beef up there too, and of course they went through all the stuff with the pandemic like we have. And don't cuss the Canadians. They do things exactly the way that we do them here. And you think they're a big country up there. They're about 10% in population as we are, and they're going through the same struggles. They've got the same problems getting margin in their market too, and they're just about like we are, guys. What else is going on? We got a BSE investigations going on in Brazil, and it's in humans. I hate to say mad cow, but that's the mad cow thing. And they're looking into that. They have a couple of cases they're looking at. It's causing many to call for a ban of beef imports anyway from Brazil. And even NCBA is calling for a ban of imports from Brazil, and that's bound not to make their two of the big four happy here, but they are coming out and hanging their name on that and saying that we should ban imports from Brazil, at least till we get this deal cleaned up. And of course that would help even more, because when you got half of your big four packers that monopolize the industry based in Brazil, you know, they're bringing a lot of product over here from there, and it's not grain-fed product per se, but it's a lot of that you know, grass-fed range kind of cattle that they're bringing in, and it's mostly either product to grind or already ground product. But the grains are exploding. We'll talk about the prices on them, but you know, inflation has taken this country over, and it's mostly all due to the decision making over the last 8-9 months of the new administration there. But this inflation is getting absolutely ridiculous, and it's hitting all of our commodity products. Of course, it's helping our beef get so high. Of course, supply and demand is helping that out too. But you know, look at the fuel and the fertilizer. This fertilizer is likely what's causing a lot of this grain deal, because we're not expecting as high as production going down the line here in the near future, because these farmers just are not going to be able to afford to put as much fertilizer on as they have, and that is in direct relation to how much yield they're going to have, is what amount of fertilizer they can afford to put on. Let's look at the board over the last week here. December live cattle futures, Monday was up 30, Tuesday was up a dime, Wednesday was down 20, Thursday was down 12, and Friday was up a quarter. And you think, gosh, that's nothing. Yeah, it was a big nothing burger in your live cattle. The futures and the traders in the futures know that our cash market is exploding, although they feel technically that it's kind of overbought, and there's just kind of a fuss right in there in between, but not doing a whole lot of anything. But your live cattle futures for December ended the week at 132.12. That was up just 32 cents, with our cash market being up, you know, $1 to $4, and kind of heavy towards the $4 there. But February contracts ended the week at 136.10. That was down $1.02. So you see the bears are winning the struggle on the backside, but it's still trading at a pretty good premium to where we're at right now. November feeder cattle contracts last week. Monday was down 30, Tuesday down 67, Wednesday down $1.25, Thursday was back up 67 cents, and then Friday off $1.07. You think, my gosh, these feeders are selling so well, but you know, they're looking at the squiggly lines. They're not paying a whole lot of attention to what's going on out in the country per se. But November feeder cattle contracts ended the week at 156.25. That was down $2.62. January contracts 157.72, down just $1.88. Your fat cattle trade through Thursday, another gangbuster week. And do you think it's a coincidence that our markets are seeing the big advances, and for the last 3 weeks at least we've seen huge negotiated trade? That's in direct relation to, guys. We've got to get this compromise bill put through to mandate at least some level of negotiated cash, because it's going to flip-flop here one of these days. They're going to be back in the driver's seat, and they're going to dial down that negotiated trade even more. But if we can get that compromise bill put through, it's the compromise between the Chuck Grassley 5014 and the Deb Fisher Cattle Market Transparency Act done. It's not as big of negotiated levels as what we wanted, but we can get it. And likely, if we don't fight it, it's probably going to go through. But we've got some organizations out there that want to jump up and down and say it's not enough. Well, they don't have a leg to stand on because they can't get the levels that they want. Let's get something. It's adjustable, guys. We can continue to work with it as we go forward, but at least get it mandated at some level, and then we can start working on improving it as we go forward. But I can't understand why anybody would fight that, and they haven't actually come out and made any statements yet. They're kind of testing the winds here. They don't want to completely lose all their favor, but do not fight this bill. It's something, and it's something that we can get. Okay, your live prices last week on fat steers and heifers were $1 to $4 higher, from 125 to 133, with a weighted average on live steers of 130, 135, well over the 130 that we did not reach last week. That's around $3 higher so far, through Thursday compared to a week ago Thursday. But we didn't see the 130 until we got to Friday. So it's going to be higher than that on the weighted average significantly. And we're just gangbusters right here. And some of the highest prices were paid late in the week. We had significant trade on Friday. I'm going to tell you about that here in just a second. But your dress sales, steers and heifers, $2 to $4 higher, 204 to 208. And your weighted average on dress steers was 206.60. That was up more than $4, guys. We did not have a lot of dress trade last Friday, so that's going to stay up there. But look at your trade on Friday. Colorado even printed. You think we're not seeing an improvement in negotiated trade? We never see Colorado print due to confidentiality rules. Colorado printed late in the week. They had 1,200 head negotiated, pure negotiated cash sales on Friday. Only 1,900 head for the week. You think they don't need some minimum levels set? But all the cash prices that we saw were live in Colorado on Friday at 132. Iowa only about 500 head on Friday, but 40,000 head last week negotiated, pure negotiated cash. 132 was the live price. Look at these dress prices in Iowa on Friday, 206 to 212. I can't believe a major packer that has to report to mandatory price reporting allowed a 212 to get printed. I can understand them doing it, throwing it in some kind of a grid deal with kicks and discounts and things like that where it gets hidden. But a pure negotiated cash dress sale at 212, figure that back to an average dress, and that's near 135, guys, on a live basis. Nebraska, about 3,000 head on Friday, 32,300 head for the week. Live sales on Friday from 130 to 132. Kansas had 2,800 head on Friday, 14,300 head for the week, and all the sales on Friday at 132. Texas had 5,400 head on Friday. You never see that. 10,000 head for the week, and all the live sales on Friday were at 132. Box beef cutout values were kind of uneven last week, and that's really causing your packers to balk a little bit. They're used to being completely in the driver's seat, and they're still making a handsome margin, but they want to make it going away. But you look at the weighted average on all of last week's choice cutouts, 286.28, down 236 on the weighted average from the previous week's weighted average, and your late Friday sales were not that high. They were just a little over 284. Selects, the weighted average on all of last week's select cutouts, 268.53, up $1.74. And on Friday afternoon, your select cutouts were about $1 higher than that weighted average, so they're going in opposite directions. I thought we couldn't sell select product, and all the cattle had to be high choice and prime anymore. There's still demand for that product out there. A lot of supermarkets feature that select product. It ain't that bad. Slaughter for last week, 655,000. We kind of rebounded with a nice 58,000 head harvest on Saturday. That 655,000 was 5,000 more than the previous week, just 2,000 less than the same week a year ago. What else is going on? Call my buddy Steve Hashey there at Lake Preston, South Dakota. He can help you wherever you're at. Hashey Insurance there. He specializes in crop insurance for the most part, but he's got some awfully good opportunities to invest in life insurance and use that investment to borrow back and run your operation there. Look at some of the scenarios he has. Call him and visit about it. And then, of course, he specializes also in your livestock insurance to insure you against the lack of precipitation, and also on the market going down. And you got to get hedged up on that through these LRP deals with the government picking up a lot of that premium for you there. And that's a better deal than just a hedge in the board, guys. But go to HasheyInsurance.com or check out his Facebook page there at Hashey Insurance. I was on a weekend trip up to the Tri-Cities of Washington there. Never been in that area before. Spoke at a big group there, Washington Cattlemen's Association's annual convention. There's good people everywhere. Those people have got the same worries that everybody else does. You get on the east side of Washington and things are a lot like they are in the southern plains or in the midsection of the country. It's, just you hear Washington, you think, liberal leftist views. No, that's on the other side of the mountain over there on the coast. But enjoyed meeting a lot of new Feeder Flash gang members there. They're watching it over there. They're paying attention. They've got a lot more regional packing over there in the Pacific Northwest and up and down that corridor there than we have in the central part of the United States, but they've still got the same struggles, guys. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index ended the week last week based on an 800-pound steer up through your middle 12 states, just like your CME cash feeder cattle index. But your real-time index ended the week at 154.04. That was up $1.08. So it's nice to see some gains there. But your trends last week in your feeder cattle going right into the feedlot were pretty much unevenly steady. And we see a lot of your 7 and 8 weights, 7 and light 8s going down, and your heavy 8s and your 9 weights going up. And you think, well, why is that? Are we thinking, about our April board? Well, we are, but we're also seeing a lot of those big calves sneaking into the 7s and maybe even your light 8s. And they just don't feed as well and they're not as attractive, so it's hurting the market on them. Your heavy 8s and your 9s are true yearlings, and the market's going up on those. Calves were higher and sharply higher in some spots, and they kind of again going up and down up in the northern plains where they're having such a problem with the trucks, and they've seen such huge runs of those light calves weighing in the 4s and 5s, but they were higher. It was a week for them to be back higher. Starting to see big runs in your sales down here in the central part of the country now on calves. But it's nice to see a higher market in the face of that. But a lot of those calves selling $2 to $5 higher last week because, everybody's just excited about the fat cattle market and seeing what's the opportunities that are out there. But big runs going to be happening this week on big runs of calves. Oklahoma City's going to have close to 12,000 cattle here on Monday. I told you already, Joplin's going to have 8,000 or better, and a lot of your sales that feature a lot of calves are going to be having huge runs this week, and we'll see if the market can withstand it or not. But late last week, some of your big sales, Lexington Livestock Market in Lexington, Nebraska, had 3,700 head there. It was mostly just a calf special, hardly any bigger cattle in there. Market was kind of uneven. It was better on the steers than it was on the heifers. Look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central through DB Auction, where your best tested weights were. 638 head of your 5-weight steer calves averaged 547 with a weighted average price of 175.93. 846 head of your 6-weight steers averaged 638 with a weighted average price of 164.50. Very impressive. How about your heifers? 436 head of your 5-weight heifer calves averaged 543 with a weighted average price of 157.16. And almost 350 head of your 6-weight heifer calves averaged 636 with a weighted average price of 148.53. A stick-out deal on your sale there at Lexington, Nebraska was 94 head, 710-pound steer calves, bring 169.50. Not a lot of big sales late last week and over the weekend. Most of them are kind of running every other week or having cow specials or bred cow specials and things like that. But the best quote that I saw really for the way things are and where it sits was Bluegrass Stockyards in Richmond, Kentucky. Sold 145 head, 760-pound steers at $157, about 2 blocks off the square in Richmond, Kentucky. That's your feeder flash for Monday.